Well, believe it or not, this is the best view we can find at the moment that has 5G internet in beautiful St. George-ish, Utah. Those of you who are like, Joe, weren't you in Virginia? I was. I was indeed. I am mobile. The Church of Korihor moves on its own accord. We are an autonomous collective. But beautiful place for a place that has intermittent 5G and LTE. This is the one hill that has like strong 5G, strong LTE internet in this area. I found some much prettier areas, although I have to say, not bad. Can you even see that? I don't know. Lately, our sermons are a little bit podunk. That's for a good reason. We are traveling. Part of that is my being able to afford child support payments and also being alive by living out of my Toyota Sienna. I can't see the screen from where I am. Trust me, it's there. And also being able to go where the movement needs me, because I've been saying for a while that if I could have my druthers, my ex-wife says it's not a real word, but no, you know, she's the ex-wife. I kid. She's a lovely person. But I said for a while I would go out and I would go all over the country, and I would spread the message of Korihor at every protest, at every near church. I would go and take speaking engagements all over the country and unify one message around the world. In a moment, I'm going to get into some, and now that's happening. In a moment, I'm going to get into some sermonizing and some announcements. But first, we like to set the stage, and we're hoping that our internet holds up. Today, we're going to talk about Korihor and being like Korihor. And those of you who are new, welcome. It is going to start raining. Hasn't stopped us before. Lord, you have to try harder than that. Didn't stop me in Salt Lake. Fucker. All right, let's do this. So, like Korihor. Playing off the website. Like Korihor, I was lost and alone. Like Korihor, cast far from. Like Korihor, they stole my voice. Like Korihor, left without a choice. But unlike Korihor, I can speak. Unlike Korihor, in my darkest hour, Korihor, I had you. Like Korihor, no guardian angel. Like Korihor, shamed by those I never. No God's command, my own footprints remain in this sand. But unlike Korihor, unlike Korihor, I have a friend in my darkest hour. My hope was renewed because of life. That's as playing off of the website out in the wild using nothing but 5G internet. Well, 5G internet's pretty fast, but welcome to the Church of Korihor. Non-existent God is making it rain on us right now. Precipitation. We give worship to the precipitation. It's moisture, as they say in these parts. We need the moisture. I'm in St. George. That's because my folks live here, and they've been supporting me. They've been very good, supportive Mormon parents, and have really helped me out during this time when we are trying to revamp the Church of Korihor after 1 year. Can you believe that this December marks 1 year since we founded our church for atheists? I'm Joe Rollins, first herald of the Church of Korihor, and after about 5 weeks hiatus, I am back, and we are back to our regular sermons. I would make up a good and convenient story if I were a God believer and wanted you to believe in things that were farcical and nonsensical and not true. But we at the Church of Korihor are big on honesty. That's why we're atheists and agnostics and spiritual, not religious people. Welcome. And hey, how's it going? I don't have rain gear. I have my coat, but I've got a few more provisions, and it's not that bad. It's a nice drizzly rain. Nice to see you, 3PO. And it's been a year. I took a serious 5 weeks, to be honest with you, where I wondered if the Church of Korihor should exist anymore. And it's been a long, grueling process where I discovered that what really was going on is that as I tried to white knuckle without my medication, trying to see if I could do without my meds, because I've lost my health insurance in the divorce, so my meds have to be re-upped every month. Luckily, I found a nurse, what do they call it, like a nurse, pharmaceutical nurse, who can give me 3 months worth of prescription at a time per visit. That makes it financially more feasible for me to stay on my meds. And let me tell you, there was a moment there where I wasn't sure. I'm going to set this iPad down, add my notes in it, but I apparently left the monopod back at the Padres place. Anyway, these are the announcements. I'm going to remember them. I remember them off the top of my head. So here are some announcements. It's a very Mormonish thing to do. Sorry. Sometimes it leaks in there. We're mainly an ex-Mormon community at this point. We're hoping to change that, and I think it will change. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But announcements. It is now November 16th, 2025. As of today, we are relaunching the first mission that we had with the Church of Korihor, that launched even really before the paperwork was signed and submitted to the state of Utah and to the IRS, which is Rapture, which is our mission to collect blankets and distribute them to the unsheltered. That mission is now revamped for 2025. All right, 2025, 2026. And I'm going to be doing it here in Utah. I'm going to be doing it in Virginia, and I'm going to personally be doing it in throughout the country all the way across. I'm going to be splitting my time half between the West Coast, as close to half as possible, and the East Coast. My plan over the course of the next year is to go to Chicago. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to go to Boston. I'm going to go all over the Eastern Seaboard, especially once it gets a little bit warmer. I'm also going to be spending time over here, going to hopefully come down to Southern California for a while, planning here in a couple of weeks, potentially to go do some work in Phoenix. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. I'm already dry. St. George, it's a dry heat. Arizona boy, assessment of St. George. Red Bull and Adderall are with us. Who can be against us? Look at that beautiful sky. Say you, Lord? Didn't think so. All right. It is. You made it rain on me again. Do you guys see it rain on me in Salt Lake while I was preaching in front of the conference center while the Mormons were coming in for what apparently was not a solemn assembly? Oh, it's so weird. On November 30th, Sunday, November 30th, 2 weeks from now, we are going to be holding our first. Let me make sure I get this right. That's right. In the November 30th, Sunday, November 30th, we are going to be holding the first ever canonization event at which we will solemnize the Korihor canon. It will be available for free on the internet for everyone to enjoy. It will be a collection of public domain writings from important leaders in the atheist movement, including Robert G. Ingersoll, and of course, the story of Korihor from the Book of Mormon, which is in public domain. Suck on that, Joseph Smith. And also writings from Thomas Paine and others. And so we're going to have some, not all of whom were atheists. Thomas Paine was agnostic or, a deist in any of it. But never you mind that. It will be available immediately on that date for anybody to peruse and read through on the internet for free. And it will also be available on paperback. Those who want to support the work, have something nice to be able to read wherever you are, we're going to be making it available immediately on paperback. I've been working on this collection of writings for close to a year now. Actually, it's been a year since I started into this project. It was roughly September 2024 when I started putting together the Church of Korihor, and I've been collecting it all that time. Hey, Lisa, it's good to see you. Thanks. I'm glad you guys like having me back. I've decided that the Church of Korihor needs at least one more year. So I am going to go out and renew our corporation with the state of Utah, based out of St. George instead of Utah County. So welcome to the Washington County-based Church of Korihor. We're just going to change the address and renew our corporation registration. But the Church of Korihor is going nationwide. December 7th, so November 30th is the canonization event. Still putting together what we're going to do with that. December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day, we are going to commemorate the atheists and agnostics who gave their lives fighting fascism by releasing for 2026 a calendar which will include a unique esoteric group of festivals dedicated to the Church of Korihor and to atheist causes. And we're going to start releasing materials, decorations, cool things that you can use or wear in commemoration of the Festivus for the rest of us. All the major holidays converted for Korihorism. And so in 2026, we're going to do that. And included in this inaugural calendar, we are going to be including the birth dates of important and significant godless people who gave their lives in the service of fighting against fascism. More on that in a moment. So, and then at that time, by that point in time, we will have completed 1 year since the Church of Korihor began. I'm going to be announcing at that time our initiative for 2026 and the goals and missions of the Church of Korihor for 2026, which is going to be a little bit, it's going to be new. It's going to benefit from all the ways in which we failed forward in 2025. I'll finish up here in a minute talking about that, but we're going to sermonize now. There's been more than one moment since I started in this van life journey about 5 weeks ago that I have found myself in an emotional state, partially on a benefit and curse of having gone white knuckling on off of my medication, and getting reconnected also with my feelings and with my disappointments and with my plans for the future, all at the same time. And it's been more than overwhelming a few times here. I've had to sit with all the ways in which I have let others down, and that includes the Church of Korihor. I got used to and complacent with a mode of mediocrity for a while. That's partially because my life got busy and turbulent as my marriage wrapped up and as I started to prepare for this van life journey, which I knew I would discover, was nowhere near prepared for. And it came close several times to some very serious moments. I don't want to scare anybody. It's not like I was planning to, yeah. In any event, let's not say anything on that. But there was more than one time in which I wanted to quit everything. There's more than one time in which I thought, wow, I just really have let everything collapse and fall. And as I did, I tried to remind myself that I was moving forward. I had a plan. I had an idea. I had a hope. What happened to that? And it was while I was listening to the hymns of the Church of Korihor. By the way, I've streamlined the website as of last night. I've been working little bits and pieces and trying to make it so that it loads faster. I've been hearing complaints from people, gentle complaints, that they don't see like the hymns on there and everything. Depending on your internet connection, the webpage would take a long time to load. It now is blazing fast for me anyways. So those who want to check it out, go check out korihor.org. We're going to be launching a lot of really cool things, including I'm going to be talking a little bit more about how Rapture will involve more people, and more people will get involved also with our mission that we're launching here soon, to feed people. So we'll be getting into that in the near future. As I've been going through these ebbs and flows of disappointment, this song came up again and again, and it haunted me even while I was driving. I'll never forget, I was driving. It was my son Elijah's birthday. I wanted to get back for his birthday from Virginia. Well, it had taken me a week to go preaching from Salt Lake City to southwestern Virginia. On the way back, it took me 3 days, partially due to my partner giving up some of his extra meds so that I could get back. Very, very grateful for him for winter. Not yet, Joe. I made it back in 3 days. I went through Rawlins, Wyoming, which I've never been to, and I've always wanted to go. I've heard from people that it's nothing to see Rawlins, Wyoming. Can vouch. And windy as it is windy in Wyoming. How do you Wyomingers do that? Is it Wyomingers, Wyomingans, Wyomingians? It was around Wyoming that like Korihor came up for me, but my phone wasn't on. It just came back to me. Those of you who know the Book of Mormon story will know that Korihor was homeless when he died. And many times when I started the Church of Korihor and we started our first mission, I went out serving the unsheltered population in Utah, in Salt Lake City. I mentioned before there was more than once that I put a blanket on a person sleeping in the snow less than a couple blocks away from Temple Square, and had to shake them to see if I needed to call the coroner. More than once in my journey now, since being effectively unsheltered myself, now a year later, I realized that we are all like Korihor, that we're born in this world with nothing, naked, cold, and afraid. And sadly enough, that's how we'll leave it. No one walks through that door into the nothingness but you. No one goes with you. Lucky if you have people around. And in that time, I many times have said, except that I have a job, I have a vehicle that gives a roof over my head, I have this great sleeping bag, I have Amazon. I guess I have to thank Jeff Bezos for that, fucker. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, fucker. And because I have Amazon and I have addresses and partners and family, I have places to ship things to. My friend Sally gave me a very comfortable mattress that I laid out on the floor of the van. And I got to tell you, I've slept in Airbnbs, I've slept at partners' houses, I've slept, including maybe one Tinder date here in St. George. I'm not embarrassed. First night I was back. The first night I was here. Yeah. Don't judge me. Judge you if you want. I'm into it. And I've slept in so many, and I slept in a really awesome Airbnb up in American Fork, I found. Weird experience, but like I rented a room in a house that's all Airbnbs. It wasn't a room, it was a basement, and it was actually pretty cool. I'm probably going to rent that again if it's still available when I'm up there, because it was affordable and it was everything you need, all the comforts of home. Anyway, and I tell you, I never slept as comfortably as I do on that mattress that Sally gave me. It was a sacrifice and commitment from a dear woman who's been very kind to me since we started the Church of Korihor, and was able to contribute in one way that has really helped me. Because the first night, on my van life journey, I slept on the side of the road in Moab and woke up in a place not entirely unlike this one. More red rock, which was cool. Not that this place is bad. It's a pretty place. This time of year, anyway. Hot as the rest of the year, but these days, those days when I would wake up on that mattress in that van, I would think, this is nothing like what I saw in Salt Lake. I have so many privileges, so many benefits. And among them, the first thing I thought of was the Church of Korihor. I thought about visiting with Mary Beth while I was out in Albuquerque, of the warm reception I got from strangers, what few did receive me, including the one who attracted me to get involved in the general strike, labor activism in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How strangers, though we all were, people in various stages of deconstruction from every kind of religion under the sun, or people who have been atheists and agnostics their entire lives, are coming together and connecting all over the world. We have Mary in Scotland. We have plenty of people who have become interested in the Church of Korihor and our work in Utah. And the more we get out there, and the more I get this message out there, is the more people who become interested and passionate about this. And when they ask me, what are you? I am proud to say that I am a Korihor. And then to follow it up with an explanation. That means I'm an atheist or godless person. I wear the label atheist proudly these days, but I have been an atheist or agnostic 25 years, where I was a Mormon for 21 before that, as far as I can remember. At some point, I was an atheist as a baby. It's a good one to come back to. And for over 10 years, I was afraid to tell people that I was an atheist. I'd tell people I was agnostic. I believed that there was a difference. Until I come to realize that no atheist that I respected wasn't an agnostic. And realized that the label atheist, it isn't about how we identify ourselves, it's about how other people identify us. And for most of those people, it's a moral question. An agnostic is a person who might be salvageable. An agnostic in their mind is a person who could be saved, who could be converted, who could be convinced of God. Where an atheist is a hard-nosed, closed-minded person who rejects God because they hate him. But my experience and journey into atheism was the opposite. As a person who deconstructed Mormonism as an ex-Mormon, I still admit that I don't know that there is no God, and that if I were convinced that there must be no God, in that moment, that conviction would immediately cause me suspicion, because I believe in critical thinking. And that's the most important thing that I have learned. I learned a lot about it preaching Mormonism to people in Peru and making Catholics into Mormons in Peru between 1999 and 2001. And came to realize that the more I would say to other people, even other missionaries, I don't think you can claim to believe something is true until you have admitted the possibility that it could be false. Is the more people began to get offended and even angry with me. My fellow missionaries, other members of the church, the Mormon church, and Catholics. If I told somebody what I was thinking, I learned I had to keep it secret. I had to keep it to myself. This simple idea, this simple thought. You can't believe or claim to believe that something is true until you have admitted the possibility that you could be wrong. This idea is so simple, so pure, so true, was offensive to people of faith. And then I was officially deconstructing. My book, The Korihor Argument, is about this. My godless journey started with Korihor. I remember when I was a kid, reading the Book of Mormon with my family or by myself. Alma chapter 30, there were times when I skipped Alma chapter 30 because I found it so uncharitable, so unloving, and so challenging to hear the story of Korihor, a man who asked the wrong questions. They weren't wrong questions. They were sound questions. Questions like, if there is a God, why don't we see evidence? And how do you know? Shouldn't you be suspicious if you inherited your faith from your parents, from your fathers, from your ancestors? Shouldn't you know for yourself? Shouldn't you find out for yourself? And how can you know for yourself if you don't stop and try and think about what the evidence says just on its own, without anybody telling you about family tradition? He called it the effect of a frenzied mind. He called it the traditions of your fathers. And I come to understand that if Joseph Smith had written the Book of Mormon, or Oliver Cowdery, or Sidney Rigdon, or Solomon Spaulding, or whomever the author of the Book of Mormon is, there was this section where they tried to show us that believing in God was better than not believing in God, and failed. And when they realized they failed, decided to condemn Korihor to the worst possible end they could imagine. homelessness, hunger, muteness, and death at the hands of strangers. The story of Korihor is not true because Korihor was a work of fiction, likely from the mind of Joseph Smith. I think, anyway. But the Nephites are fiction. The Lamanites are fiction. The Book of Mormon itself is a work of fiction. And yet this man, this character who emerges from this story, who is mocked, laughed at by Mormons today. And they say, oh, you're such a Korihor. And then they chuckle and laugh. It's funny. A man who's unsheltered, dying, trampled to death by strangers in a foreign land, mute. That's funny to them. And I realize many times that the journey of an atheist is the journey of Korihor. This is their greatest fear. Whoever wrote Korihor's story, their greatest fear is losing faith in God. And because you lose faith in God, you lose what? You lose your voice. That's their fear. And it's true. There is something to say for the fact that in a world dominated by people who believe in God, when they find out you don't believe in God, they are convinced you should shut up. And if you won't shut up, that you should be shut up. They fear that they would lose community. And it's true. Friends will withdraw from you. Family members will withdraw from you. And that it's possible that opportunities will pass you by because nobody wants to be associated with an atheist because they associate atheism with being judgmental of other people, with being closed-minded, with being willing to challenge their hope in purpose in life and meaning for their suffering. But being godless now 25 years, I find I am increasingly less and less judgmental of people who want purpose and meaning in their life. I find myself more and more compassionate for people who believe that they would suffer the worst of circumstances if they disappointed a God who is not likely to exist, and that they would rather take Pascal's wager. They would rather decide to believe in something untrue, try to compel themselves to believe in something untrue because they lose nothing in the end. But it's not true. That's the part that's not true. Far more often than not, this widespread faith in God costs us. It doesn't cost you nothing. There is a cost that is paid. We lose our humanity. We lose our hope in human dignity. There's a reason why people laugh at the story of Korihor. Because they would laugh at the people who were starving and freezing on the streets of Salt Lake City, just a couple of blocks away from Temple Square. Some of you saw that there was a woman who issued a challenge recently and went viral on the internet because she called around to different churches, including the Mormon church, saying that she was a single mother who couldn't afford to feed her baby in the midst of this inhumane, tyrannical reduction in SNAP benefits. That now even conservatives in the political arena in America are rebuking Donald Trump and his administration, are rebuking the Republicans in Congress, saying this is inhumane, saying we won't do it, we won't comply with it. Wisconsin's governor just came out announcing recently, just yesterday, I believe, that they paid out full SNAP benefits to their people in Wisconsin. And when Donald Trump contacted them, and the Trump administration contacted them and said, undo it, take the SNAP benefits back, they said no. Remember that this was a man who was elected. I don't tell people who to vote for, and I will gladly take any MAGA support that we can get in this community. I'm not saying that we won't. I'm just saying, remember that this is a man who promoted himself as making America Christian again, promoted to people that America was going to believe in God again, and called himself the chosen one. And then went and took food out of the mouths of families, took food out of the mouths of children. This is the cost of God. This is the cost of faith. And it drives me crazy to think that we're the ones, we godless people are the ones who are judged. While this woman called around to these churches, including the Mormon church, and found that they would not help a single mother feed her child. I thought, this is something we at the Church of Korihor have been talking about doing for weeks. We just don't have the money, the organization, the buildings, the logistics to make it happen. I've been trying for a while to figure out a good way in which we can help to feed people. Just a few months ago, I made some TikToks. I'm back on TikTok now. We'll see how long that lasts this time. About the sermon I gave a few weeks ago about how in 2017 they reduced SNAP benefits for the first time in a long time and limited them according to the Republicans' plan in Congress. This is a historical fact. I'm not trying to preach politics. I don't believe the Democratic Party is virtuous or good. I don't believe that you should vote Democrat over Republican. I don't tell anybody how to vote. Well, they cut benefits in 2017 in Congress. They got the cuts they've been fighting for years in 2017. In 2018, more Americans died of hunger than any other year on record. And again in 2019 and again in 2020 and every year since then until now in 2025, it's happened again. These people are being exterminated. Exterminated by people who will happily tell the world, you should vote for me because I believe in Jesus. And while people will try and tell them, this is not the Jesus that I read in the Bible, I have to ask you, isn't it? At the end of the day, how much the Jesus in the Bible, how much of this is the preaching of a rabbi from Galilee or from Jerusalem, which Bethlehem was part of? How much of this was the teaching of a man 2,000 years ago? Personally, I'm not convinced any of it. But somebody wrote this down. There are various versions of it. And each one changed it. Each gospel is slightly different because they changed the gospels. Even back then, Jesus adapted to the culture that he was being preached to. This is America's Jesus, to turn away the hungry. And what can we do? Well, I look at it and I say, well, if we had money, organization, time, if we had people who were either wealthy or retired or connected in some way, we could do a lot more. And a lot of the limitations of why we haven't been able to do much in terms of feeding people or even housing or clothing people, things that I had wanted to do when we started the Church of Korihor a year ago, is just for lack of money. And I think that honestly, the lack of money would change as we got more awareness and as we got more people to know who we are. And so in 2026, my objective, first and foremost, personally, is to make sure people know about the Church of Korihor. It will cost dearly. It will be dangerous. And I am willing to do it. Because like Korihor, I'm willing to risk my life, if necessary, to stand up for the cause of what I believed in when I was just a Mormon missionary 25 years ago, being shamed by his fellow missionaries in some cases. Not all of them were like that. being shamed by members of my own congregation, my own church, being shamed by Catholics and strangers for saying you cannot believe or claim to believe something until you are prepared to accept the possibility that it is not true. And this journey of critical thinking has not just cost me my community. It's built a new one. I find that everywhere I go across this country, there are people who are either godless or who hear our message and want to help. We have to broaden this movement. We have to make it bigger. And more than once I thought, maybe we should change the name of it to the Church of Doing Good or some kind of bullshit thing like that. And in the up until the last week, I thought maybe it's Korihor. Maybe that's what drives people away. Maybe that's what makes people disinterested. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced, and I'm not unconvinced. Every time I weigh the pros and cons, I think those people were against us from the beginning. The moment you said atheist, the moment you said agnostic, the moment you said godless, these people who would tell you, oh, it's because of this or it's because of that. I've heard it all. Oh, the guy who leads your movement, he doesn't bother to comb his hair. He doesn't wear a suit. I mean, I could wear a suit. That'd make a difference. Fuck it, I'll do it. You don't have a church building. You don't have a throng of millions of supporters all over the world. You don't collect tithing. This isn't a real thing. I've heard it all. I've heard it said right into my face at times. And perhaps the only time I really lost my shit with somebody was the leader of a Mormon fellowship, offshoot group of the Mormon church, who, when he found out after the third post from the Church of Korihor that I had posted in a Utah Facebook group, Utah Mormon, it's like a Mormon collective thing. It's like all the people related to Mormonism in Utah. And the leader of a Mormon church, small, but that exists, said, this isn't funny anymore. People laugh at the Church of Korihor. I'm glad to make people laugh. I'm glad you're having a good time. I laugh at the Church of Korihor. I like for us to have a healthy sense of humor about ourselves. I think if you can't laugh at yourself, you got serious ego problems. And this man said, it's not funny anymore. And then he said, just look at the story of Korihor. And then he started slandering Korihor. And the words I'll never forget, he said, a man who died a beggar. I'm only flesh and blood. I lost my shit on this person on Facebook. Keyboard warrioring. You try to out keyboard a warrior, an atheist, you're in trouble. Bad move. And I said, maybe this is part of the problem. I said, I'd love to see how many blankets you went out and distributed in Salt Lake City since you fucking live here to the unsheltered, people who are dying as beggars. Do you know that in Utah, every single year, in major cities all across this country, people die in the cold? In a country that is wealthier than any nation in the world, that for the price of one F-35 Lightning could solve the problem of people dying in the cold. And we can't. We can't bring ourselves to sacrifice one fucking airplane that the military, the Pentagon, at once said that they don't even want any, they wanted to cancel all their orders for it because they didn't want it. They'd rather have F-16s. But no, we have to have the latest. We have to have the coolest. We have to have the most efficient ways of killing strangers rather than paying people, employing our own people to go out and care for people who are unsheltered. I met many people out there who are suffering from mental illnesses that are completely treatable. I met many people in my journey among the unsheltered, working with the unsheltered, many people who had common physical ailments that could be easily treated. That if I had the means, I would get every one of these people in to see a doctor. I would get people in to see a therapist. I just don't have those means. I'm lucky to have what I do have. But of the things that I have, that I wake up grateful for every day, I have the community. I have a roof over my head. Believe you me, just staying out of the wind, you come to appreciate when you're living out of a van. It's cold. Many times I woke up and it was freezing cold in that van. Even in Virginia, I mean, Virginia is not that cold. But there were mornings where I woke up and it was a solid, 40 degrees. And, it's not bad to take a walk in, but sleeping in can be pretty uncomfortable. I bought a sleeping bag for two, because I'm a big guy, off of Amazon that was well reviewed. Put that in the van and put my comforter on top of it. Since then, I've not been cold one night. My lovely sister, many of you know, Nikki, gave me a box full of those 18-hour hot hands. Remember, I told you guys, those of you who have been with us over the course of the last year, the number one thing I was asked for while I was handing out blankets that my Mormon neighbors donated, mostly, and that we bought and made from scratch and distributed. The number one thing people would ask me is say, "Oh, thank you so much. Do you have any of those 18-hour hot hands? Those things are a lifesaver." And I was volunteering with a Christian church of the good type, St. Mark's Episcopal. Well, it wasn't with the church directly. It was with an organization run by my friend Carl Moore, who had partnered with St. Mark's Episcopal. And we would run out of those things so fast. I'd have to tell person after person, "I'm sorry, no, they're gone." It was the number one thing people asked me for. And when they found out we didn't have it, then they asked, "Do you have any hand sanitizer?" We'd hand out little bottles of hand sanitizer and they'd say, "Never mind." Because they weren't using it as hand sanitizer. They only wanted the big bottles, the like quart size bottles, I guess. Quart? Yeah, like a quart size bottle. A little less than a liter anyway, of hand sanitizer. And my friend Wendy, who works with that organization, posted a picture of why they've discovered why these people, unsheltered people in Salt Lake, wanted these quart-sized bottles of hand sanitizer, why there was such a rush for them. There was a photo she posted on Facebook, just broke my heart. 4 people huddled around a puddle of hand sanitizer that they lit on fire to keep warm on Salt Lake City streets. This is the difference between people who believe in human dignity for its own sake and people who believe in God because they have hundreds of billions of dollars worth of assets and turn people out into the cold. There's a difference. What does it cost us, Blaise Pascal, to believe in God? It might cost us our humanity. It might cost us the best thing in our humanity. And I've met many Christians and many people who believe in God along this way who are not like that. And of all of them, what I find is most consistently is they admit to me, "You're right, I don't know that there's a God. I don't claim to know beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond all doubt, beyond the shadow of a doubt. I believe," and who will tell me, "I believe that God is working in you because you're out here serving people." And I think to myself, so this is a person who assumes I'm on their side because I'm serving other people, and service to other people is God in their estimation. And before the toxic, snarky atheist within me whips at them and says, well, then, okay, fine, but shouldn't that be proof to you that I am right about God and you are wrong? I instead, what comes out of my mouth is, I'll take it. He who is not against us is on our part. Is that right? And they say, that's right. That's a Jesus quote if you don't know. All right. I said when we started this journey that if I did this all alone, I'd still do it. So far, because we're all in different geographic places, a lot of it I do alone. And people like Jules do it alone. And people like Mary Beth do it alone. And people like Nikki do it alone. And people who are friendly to our cause, they do it alone. And we are so much more together. That's why the Church of Korihor has to exist. We have to be able to organize. There are technological limitations, yes. There are financial limitations, a lot. There are limitations on the judgments of people who don't like atheists. Oh yeah, they're out here. They're part of our story too. But in the midst of that, there are these people who care. And the more that we can get these people together, spend a little less time on Instagram and a little more time on korihor.org in our missions, the more we can post in and share and communicate with one another and organize together, is the more we can do. More than once I have thought in this past year, my mistake was not doing what Christian churches do. Seeding churches. They go to the bank or they go to a board of trustees who have millions of dollars they need to tax haven away. And they either form a trust or they form an LLC that owns the property and assets and leases them to the church, or that gives them opportunities, setting up retail shops in front of the church or around the church or what have you, around a physical location. Or they go into debt, borrow hundreds of thousands, if not millions in most cases. And had we done that from the start, maybe we would have gotten our message out there further from the beginning. Maybe we would have gotten more done. If so, then that's a failure on my part, because I didn't know what I didn't know. As far as how much could it possibly cost? You start a website, you get a $10 a month account on Suno. That's been probably the best investment we've ever made. So you can make poetry into songs, into hymns. And then you get a YouTube account. And then as the message goes viral, you'll collect together the resources and the people to make something happen. How long could it possibly take? We now know the answer is at least a year, running entirely on grassroots steam from at least 1, 2, 3, 4 people, a handful of people. Okay, well, now we know. And as I said in the first sermon I gave, I'll fail. I'll start again. Having taken 5 weeks off of sermonizing, taken 5 weeks off of organizing, and having made it from one side, literally one side of this country to the other and back again with a long stretch of time, walking in the woods in Virginia, stopping occasionally in places like Kentucky and in Oklahoma, in Tennessee, in Wyoming. Long stretches where I turned all the music off, turned off the audiobooks, and just sat and thought as I drove. I start again. If it kills me, I'll start again. Before, when I said that, it didn't seem likely that it could. Going cross country, there were several moments where I realized, no, this actually could happen. I'll never forget the first time that I thought, holy shit, I could get myself killed doing this. Was in Salt Lake City. As I was handing out blankets at midnight and looked behind me and realized that off about a mile away, no matter where I went, the police were following me to see what I was doing. Well, I assume they weren't spying on the camps of people. They wanted to know what I was doing. I was the suspect because I was out there putting blankets around cold people. And I thought, one wrong move in the dark. Salt Lake City is dark at night, let me tell you. They don't put up a lot of street lamps. And let me tell you, more than once I thought, one false move, one thing, reaching for my phone in my pocket, I could get myself shot out here. And these guys, they suspect me. Again, when I was in Tulsa, standing there preaching on a corner, on a sidewalk, on a public sidewalk, checked the laws, said if you're, as long as you're 18 inches away from the curb and you're not interrupting traffic, foot traffic, there's nothing they can say to you. First Amendment, remember that? Freedom of speech, anybody remember that? Freedom of religion, right peaceably to assemble. Police. Everywhere I go, every time I stop and pull out this phone, the police start circling around. And I thought, once again, I got to start doing this in better lit areas so that you can see what I'm doing. One wrong move. Is it worth it? This has been the best thing I have done with my time in my life. This is the only thing I've done in over 20 years that made me feel like I was living up to my purpose. My purpose. Not given to me by God's, given to me by me. And if somebody else thinks that that may be because God is working in me, let them think it. Do you have any 18-hour hot hands? Because they save lives. Do you have any large bottles of hand sanitizer? They save lives out here. And as of now, do you think you could feed some people? So this is what I want to do. I want to start supporting an advertising movement, not to promote the Church of Korihor, but to promote a mission that people will be able to join for no cost. Log into the website and connect with our community. So we've launched this membership type. Now, I'm still grateful for those of you who are contributors. And fellows of the Church of Korihor, I'd ask you to continue to contribute those $2 a month. We likely are going to start in the new year raising that to $4 a month or $48 a year. More and more people are choosing the $48 a year thing because, you know, another monthly subscription is unattractive to them. I'm into it. Let's do it. But I'm also going to start a tier where people can donate $25 a month if they want to. I'm going to call it a VIP tier. And I'm going to be blunt with you. You're not going to get access to much more than you already have. The only thing that we're going to have to do with this tier, I want to get at least 20 people who sign up for this $25 a month tier. And every penny of that money is going to go into a YouTube campaign promoting the mission to feed people by getting people organized and getting them the resources that they need. We don't know who out there is ready to help. If it means sending some food, if it means for a neighborhood pantry, if it means cooking. I told you guys before, those of you who are here, that my partner, who's a very good baker, and my partner Winter, who's a very good baker and a very good cook, said I could, for barely any more cost, make enough food to feed 2 or 3 families every time I make a meal for mine for a little more cost. There's so many recipes that you can expand to feed a large group of people. And, you know, you can make a bigger pot of chili. You can make a bigger pot of soup just in their kitchen stove. And said, making it, yes, and I would do it. But driving it to those people, I can't do both. It's just too much. It's too much work. It costs too many spoons, if you know the spoons thing. And said, if you got me somebody who would drive it to the people, go out and find the people, I would make the food and package it up and somebody could go and come pick it up. I thought, how can we organize that? How can we develop the technology so that we can set it up so that it's more efficient? And the more I tried to do it and say, let's do it. Let's invent something a really good piece of technology that would help us to streamline this process. The more I realized this is going to take more time. This is going to take more resources. I've already got one app project I've got to get caught up on. And the more I realized, if we just had a place for people to meet each other and say, I'm in this area. I'll cook if somebody else will drive. I'm in this area. I'll set up the pantry. I know exactly where to do it. If somebody can send some canned food items, then, you know, send them to this address. It'll be podunk and grassroots. It'll be small. It'll be silly at times until people start eating who would otherwise go hungry. And then as we go along, maybe we'll find more people who will help us with the technology side, people who have experience with grassroots organizing. And we're going to start partnering with more organizations. I don't know how I would have come to all of the changes that I've decided for 2026. So we're going to be talking over the course of the next couple of weeks. I don't know how I would have come to all of this if it weren't for my partner, Winter, who said to me on one occasion when I was frustrated, overwhelmed, and defeated, Joe, you keep trying to do everything as if you were an operation built around one man. And that one man has work he has to do to earn a paycheck. That one man is already experiencing the problems relevant to living in a van where everything takes twice as long. Just getting dressed takes twice as long. Going to the bathroom in the morning, you know, first thing in the morning, it's like, oh, shoot, I got to piss again. All right, where's this gonna happen? Everything takes twice as long, at least. And he said, you need to learn to connect to other people and say, how can our community partner with yours? I said, well, once again, that's time, that's energy. to meet those people, find those people. But you're right. If our community can connect with others, with communities that already have mailing lists, already have people, and say, how can we help? All of a sudden, we have a fulcrum. We have a leverage point where we can take our effort, our passion, and make it so much more than it was. We can multiply our effort. And all it takes is being willing and being able to reach out to the people outside of our community and say, we are godless. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. We don't care. We're part of this movement. We need you too. So we're going to get more friends of Korihor to get into our organization and onto our mailing list, so that when somebody says, I know, when that woman calls the Church of Korihor who says, I have a child I can't feed, instead of saying, no, we don't have a program for you. No, we don't have resources for that. No, we're just a little church. We can put up on that website, on our website, and say, can I put your name out there to some people in the Church of Korihor, in our Godless Church, and see what we can raise for you? Do you have a GoFundMe? Do you have a Venmo account? Do you have a Cash App? And then what I will be doing is taking the form. Some of you may remember I debuted a form in our clergy tools for our luminaries to use. What I figured out here is this is a form so that people could get a tax receipt in case they give a significant donation and want to be able to use it as a tax write-off. You should be able to do it. Everybody should be doing it. I do it. I write off my contributions to the Church of Korihor. Why not? Why should I pay taxes when I can pay my tax dollars to this movement? And so I'm going to make a form like that one, pretty much duplicate that form, and put it up on the website so that anybody can use it. And then all you have to do is fill it out, put the name of the person who received that donation on behalf of the church. Still there? Lost my internet all of a sudden. I guess we won't be closing him today. It looks like we got the internet back. Hopefully I'm still broadcasting. Everything looks good so far. All right. Anyways. But what we're going to be doing is, over the course of the next year, we're going to be organizing feeding more people. And we're going to do that because we're going to be advertising to people something that I have experience doing for the corporate world, something that I have experience doing and having failed at in so far, I think every possible way that you can fail. This is one thing I do understand, which is video advertising. I've been doing it for longer than I care to admit. And for the first time in my life, this skill oftentimes oftentimes considered obsolete and unimportant in an age where video is something that looks like this. Well, it actually makes a difference because we can get our word out. When I've told you guys before, when I was spending $200 out of pocket every month to advertise the Church of Korihor, we had videos that were reaching tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of people. We can do more with just a little bit, and we can find people who are passionate about our work. Some of them will be godless people like us. Monday, maybe they'll even join the Church of Korihor. But if they're not, and all they want to do is help, well, then we will make a community where they can help. If you believe in this, if you believe that we can extend human dignity to our fellow man, to our brothers and sisters out here, and persons non-binary, siblings non-binary, we can do better than by simply connecting with other people. We can grow this movement. So I'd ask you guys to help me out. We're going to do the best that we can. And those of you who are worried that it's dangerous for me out here, I've had people ask, I got a good sleeping bag. I got a good van. It's recently been serviced. I'm doing good. And I'm back on my meds, which is good. And we're doing more than we're going to be doing more than we've ever done. 2026 is our year. I've learned what it was, all the mistakes I had made. Well, I learned several mistakes I had made, and we're going to correct them. Next week, I'm going to go on in our Godless sermon. I'm going to be going over some of those changes to Hellfire Agency, changes to our clergy organization, and our volunteer organization. And we're shaping what the future of the Church of Korihor is going to look like. A lot of it's going to be duplicating what other people have done, but a lot of it's going to be unique to us. And I'm happy about that because we're figuring out who we are and what this movement is all about. I want to thank all of you guys for being a part of it and for helping me out, for being patient when my sermons are a little less polished and my posts are a little less frequent. And it's a bit of a raw journey right now with us, right? But we're doing it. And that's what matters. As we get more people involved, we're going to get together more. And every time I have met up with somebody now, several times, I've met with people that I've only known your name on the internet. I get to see your beautiful faces. I'm revitalized. I'm renewed in my passion, in my passionate belief that we are doing something good here and that we can really change lives. And that's why for 2026, I might as well announce this one because I already changed it on the website. Our slogan has changed. We are now godless people on a mission. It's exactly what we are. Each of us, if we're doing it alone, we would do it. Let's not. Let's do it together. Let's go together. I believe in you. I would ask you to believe in me. And let's work together. Amen. I'm going to try and get more, I'm going to start posting more on the website and more episodes of Hellfire Agency. But I'm going to be changing that a little bit. I'm going to be making those announcements as I go. I want us to start having some more, some giving calls. I'm not sure what we're going to call them. They're going to be regular meetings just for people in our community rather than posting it for the whole world. And these calls or broadcasts, live streams, whatever you want to call them, are going to be opportunities for us to call out people who are in need and asking, who can help this person? Help them to serve others. In some cases, maybe there will be people that we can find who are hungry, people who are cold, people who can't make their rent, and asking, who can help this person? Or can you connect us to people who can help that person? Can you take a person in? In a lot of cases I've discovered in this van life journey, there are people who just need a piece of land that they can park on for a few hours while they sleep. It's like one of the hardest things when you're out rolling on wheels and trying to live on the road, is that sometimes there isn't a safe place to go and sleep for the night. What can we do? Who can we connect? Who can we organize? Who do you know? Let's start networking together and finding more resources. I want to start doing those calls soon, as they always are. At the beginning, it'll be podunk and cheap and just, don't worry, be crappy. It wouldn't be us. We wouldn't be us if we weren't willing to do it crappy, if we're doing it at all. And I love that about us. We're a humble crew, the Church of Korihor. After all, we are named after a guy who died homeless. I wouldn't have it any other way. I've had an opportunity to decide whether I would have it another way. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm a Korihor. To the day I die, I'm a Korihor. I'm proud of you guys. Have a good night. Day. Whatever it is. Flash bright, my friends.